across the city.
Yeah, that's right, Ollie. What we've found that over the last 2 decades, the political parties of both persuasions have basically stripped democracy from the planning process, and things like community feedback processes have become a sham, and basically they listen to the people, so to speak, but then our voices are ignored. And councillors find themselves pretty powerless because councillors have essentially been disenfranchised with the decision-making processes around planning. So most planning processes made these days are made by government-appointed industry insiders that are called JDAP, and essentially we feel as though we would need to take back democracy to the planning process.
Okay, just to go to another angle on this for a moment, Ian. During the coronavirus, a whole heap of amendments were made by the State Planning Minister, Rita Saffioti, in regards to cutting red tape for approval processes to be sped up. Has this actually in turn given the state government even greater powers to veto or to expedite new developments without consulting either the local governments or the local residents, just to put shovels in the ground?
Yes, it has indeed. In fact, it was fast and furious, those changes. And, as they say, never waste a good disaster to grab power. And certainly that has accelerated a lot of the development applications. And, so it's pretty disappointing because what these are doing is, development by development, essentially breaking down the amenity of Perth suburbs. And one of the things we're particularly interested in is privacy. We think privacy is one of the most important things that people should be able to enjoy, particularly in their own homes, and whether that be in a unit or in a back garden or whatever. I think being able to have privacy is paramount. And privacy seems to be the least concern of the developers and the planning bureaucrats who are approving these developments.
So ultimately, Ian, are you worried, and those who are part of the Perth Alliance for Responsible Urban Planning, are you worried that you're losing a voice in the discussion around developments?
We think we've lost a voice. We think we have no voice.
Right.
We essentially support each other, but each time somebody speaks up, essentially we get belittled, we get called names, we get called either we're NIMBYs or we're whingers. Communities feel as though we've got no one in our corners. The developers, the WAPC, the state government on both sides of politics basically are destroying the amenity of Perth suburbs. And they're doing this in the name of job creation and profits. Short-term jobs, short-term profits for the property developers. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. But I think people and communities should be at the centre of planning decisions, not property developers.
Are there particular projects at the moment, Ian, on your agenda or your members' agenda that you're worried, that you're concerned about, that have been given the green light without that proper consultation?
I think, a number. I don't want to name them, but if I just list the suburbs that have contacted me and our group, we've got Como, Edgewater, Nangara, Henley Brook, Joondalup, Melville, South Perth Hills, South Perth Peninsula, Subiaco, and they're only a few, they're a few of the suburbs. So pretty much every suburb in Perth is facing this. And I wouldn't call out just one specific project being worse than another. And just heard that Pierce now, the Glen Iris Golf Course, apparently been sold, and that's going to be chopped up into subdivision, even though the subdivision isn't approved yet. So, it's really the planning process is so geared towards approval that residents, and I think residents are important. It's protecting our homes is something that's every Australian is entitled to do, and we shouldn't be ashamed of doing that. And the planning process does not enable us to do that. We're taking a knife to a gunfight.
It's interesting. You got a meeting at 6:30 tonight in Nedlands. If anybody's interested, where can they find you, Ian?
We'll be in Smythe Road, Tregonning Oval at 6:30 tonight. And there's also another protest, well, actually not a protest, it'll be a town hall coming up on the 28th of November which is Saturday at 10 a.m. on the 28th of November. That will be at Parliament House, and we're expecting that one to be a lot bigger. But if I can just ask one thing, Ollie, there's one thing if I can ask, we're really asking the Auditor General to conduct a performance audit of the WAPC because we think the WAPC and the JDAP process is systemically corruptible. We're not saying any individuals within the process are corrupt, but certainly we think the system itself, the way it's structured, is corruptible, and we are calling on the Auditor General to do a performance audit of the WAPC.
Ian, I appreciate you jumping on the radio this afternoon. You have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Ollie. All the best.
Ian
Bye.
Love, he is from the Perth Alliance for Responsible Urban Planning, saying that the amenity is being destroyed in Perth right now, listing a whole heap of examples right across the metro area. Greater consultation with people in the communities. He says the planning process is geared towards developers' approval. You might have some examples of your own and you might want to weigh into this discussion. I'd love to hear your voice. 92211 8